Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler up at Harvard University for a Week 10 NFL reaction. If you want to see some of the other content we put out this week, go ahead to our channel page. You could see the Viking reaction to their loss to the Ravens. We went for about 35 minutes, hit the Viking game, went into a little detail on Bears-Giants as well. A painful reaction for Ziggy and I. This is usually the calmer, more reasonable, would you say, sophisticated broadcast that we have as compared to the
let us
chaos.
know in the comments if you like this Monday show. We're trying something a little bit new here. We're bringing back, this is a show we ran a lot last year, but it's sort of fallen out this year. So let us know if you like this. If you do, we'll keep making them.
Well, I enjoy doing this show with you, Ziggy, because it's nice to kind of reflect a little bit more on all the games. And we've said this a few times, right after the game's end, you know, everything's rushing around in your head. We've been watching 4 or 5 different games at once usually. And sometimes it's nice to take a step back and go, okay, what's actually going on here? What are the main talking points we want to hit on? So I always enjoy doing this because it helps us to get a little bit of a better understanding of what happened in these games. If you're enjoying the content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're, like 40 people away from hitting 27,000?
You could be one of the first 27,000 subscribers of the Paul Farrington Show, but the window is closing.
It's closing fast. It's closing really fast. And, the Vikings are doing their part to help us get there. Vikings losses usually turn in to show success for us, unfortunately. I just saw the video did really well yesterday, and I didn't even check it because once the Vikings lose, I just go into my, all right, I'm going to watch the games for the show and kind of take out the fan in myself for like an hour or two. But that did great. So the Vikings are doing their part. They lose 27-19 to the Ravens. We're not going to get too much into the Viking game because we did have the entire reaction. But there was one thing, Ziggy, that I wanted to bring up again because we didn't hit it too much during our instant reaction. But I've noticed a lot of people discussing it on social media. There have been articles written, and an Athletic article came out as well. And we're going to hit basically almost all the games. So don't worry. We're not just going to repeat the NFC North and call it a day. And it's about Justin Jefferson and what we saw yesterday in a very non-Justin Jefferson performance. And it wasn't just on the field, right? Justin Jefferson makes plays that really I don't think any other receiver in football can make on a weekly basis for the Vikings. And there were a handful of opportunities that he had where, McCarthy took a few deep shots and people questioned Jefferson's pursuit of the ball a few times. People were upset on a near touchdown catch that he had where, Justin's got his arms like outstretched and had someone swiping at the ball and his arms as he's trying to make it would have been an impossible catch, but he does the impossible consistently. And I have no problem. I was talking with my dad about this. I was saying everyone deserves to have an off day, right? And I do agree with that everybody deserves to have their, even Justin Jefferson can have a poor performance. He's entitled to that. My dad said, yes, you can have a poor performance on the field, but you can't show a lack of heart. That is not excusable. And it felt like yesterday, for really one of the first times ever in his career, that we got a lack of heart from Justin Jefferson. And I don't know what was going on. Maybe something off the field was on his mind. And if that's the case, I hope everything is situated. I don't want to speculate. But that was not the Justin Jefferson that we're used to seeing, who's a constant source of optimism and energy for this team that desperately needs it with a young quarterback who's struggling and an offense that, has had trouble finding rhythm this year. And it was, I'll be the first person in line to say Justin Jefferson is, one of the top leaders in football. Forget players, leaders. But yesterday, Ziggy, it was pretty clear when you have the standard of leadership and the standard of really excellence across the board that Justin has, a day like yesterday where he's clearly agitated. He's not chasing down Marlon Humphrey after Marlon had the interception on a deep shot. He's walking off the field in frustration. It just didn't feel like Justin Jefferson, and we need him.
Well, I think it's good that you point out the stuff about the standard, because it's not like Justin Jefferson was checked out on every single play he was or wasn't getting the ball.
Yeah.
I think back to some of the George Pickens Pittsburgh games where really almost every single play, if things weren't going his way, he wouldn't throw a block. He wouldn't contest a ball. And Justin Jefferson tried to compete. He tried to block. He tried to contest balls that came his way. Like, he wasn't a complete checkout performance.
Yes.
And I think you're right. Like, not chasing down a tackle on that second interception was tough. But as you say, it's not that we need Justin Jefferson to be an okay player who shows up and mostly does his job. We need Justin Jefferson to set a tone for the offense. Because in the NFL, like, you can have JJ McCarthy going in, trying to get his guys amped up.
Yeah.
But when you have 8 false starts and it's because you're not operating the offense properly, when you're having a struggling game, like, guys in the NFL are not inclined to listen to players who aren't very good or are struggling, right? That's just how it is. In order to be a good leader, you have to be a good player. And Justin Jefferson is the best player on this team. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He is the single best player we've got. So you're right. Seeing anything other than the highest standard just feels weird from him. And it makes me wonder if the expectations going into the season, the struggles, the fact that with this loss, they're pretty much out of the playoffs, is actually wearing on this team more than it looks like on the outside.
Yeah, and this has been by far the worst season of Justin's career. He's averaged 95.5 yards per game, which is the most ever for a player over the course of his first, 5 or 6, we're in like year 6 now or something of Justin. And he's had 8 touchdowns per season. And this year he's down to, 76.2 yards per game. Only has 2 touchdowns. It's, the quarterback.
I love that. He's only putting up 80 yards a game.
I know. And I'm not trying to rag on Justin during the segment.
No, but that's the point, right? Like, the standards for Justin Jefferson are so high that you look at 75, 80 yards a game and say that might not be good enough for this team.
No, and that's basically what it comes down to is there's a lot of pressure on Justin to perform, but it's necessary. Like, we need him, and we need him at his best every single week. And it's okay, again, to have bad games, but he's the heart and soul. There's not many teams that have a heart and soul that's not the quarterback, but he's the face of the franchise. He's the most popular athlete in the state. Like, he is the guy. And he's always like this. And this is why it's so glaring, right? A day like yesterday's, because he is always the beacon for the Vikings, the beacon of optimism. And it's just weird when you don't see that. And everybody saw it yesterday. I didn't know if it was just like, yeah, something feels off. But when you see the reaction everyone's having, it's like, okay, what's going on here? And if this turns into something, now it's really bad. I don't expect it to.
The nightmare is Justin Jefferson gets fed up and asked out.
Yeah,
hopefully
that's the nightmare.
Happens in my entire life.
I don't think it will happen. And after the game, Justin was talking about basically what we're saying right now. He's like, I'm going to go back and figure out what I need to fix here.
And to be clear, we're not like trying to say that's going to happen or hype things up.
No, I don't think that at all. I think it was just a bad day. I think he just had a bad day. And I understand it. I mean, I really do understand how it happens, because you mentioned it, right? We're 4-5. You're seeing what the Seahawks are doing every week with Darnold. And if you're Justin Jefferson watching Jackson Smith and Jigba be the best receiver in football right now, there has to be a piece of you that's like, man, what are we doing here? When there's like the 8th overthrow of the day, or the 5th throw that's off his hands, like, I don't mean off his hands, I mean like mistargeted. You just have to, at some point, I understand how that wears on you. And what I'm saying is we need him to be Superman, and it's unfair expectations. But when you're the guy, what the great power comes great responsibility. So if we're quoting Spider-Man out here, that's what it is. Because he is the leader. So I just wanted to talk about that briefly. I have no qualms with Justin Jefferson at all. He's the best player we have. It's just that's something people are talking about, and I felt like it should be addressed. Like we need the best from him week in and week out. And we'll basically wrap up the Vikings here. But Kevin O'Connell was also terrible yesterday. Like I thought situationally he was really bad. A couple of the deep shots that we took, I'm like, why are we doing this here? I never really let JJ get into. I didn't think that the play calling got JJ into a good rhythm. I didn't think we ran the ball enough for Aaron. Aaron was running fairly well, I thought, yesterday. We had 13 total carries outside of if you don't count the J.J. McCarthy 5. It's just not. I didn't think Kevin O'Connell had a great day. A couple really questionable short yardage decisions as well. And we're just, I mean, Ziggy, we are, going for, I understand going for 2 as well, analytically speaking. The Vikings are the worst short yardage team in the league. And now I'm not, this is not the hill I'm going to die on for O'Connell's day yesterday, but something needs to be done about the Vikings in short yardage situations because it's just piss poor. It's whether it's play action, they roll JJ out, whether it's trying to run right up the middle. It's been bad for a really long time. It's been bad under O'Connell's entire tenure with Minnesota. And yesterday we go out, we're rolling out for 2, and I'm like, why are we even doing this? We know we're not going to get it, and of course we don't. And I don't know. I was disappointed with the entire offense yesterday, pretty much.
No, well, it's one thing I'm worried about, and one thing to keep an eye on is that J.J. McCarthy's weaknesses seem to play very well with Kevin O'Connell's weaknesses. Kevin O'Connell loves deep shots. J.J. McCarthy loves deep shots. But J.J. McCarthy has really struggled throwing the ball deep. Even though he's throwing deeper passes than anyone in the NFL, what that's translating to is not... Yeah, no, his average depth of target is 10 yards. Sam Darnold's the next at 9.2. Stafford's in like the mid-8s. It's like he's throwing much deeper than anyone else except what Anthony Richardson does, which is maybe not the comparison you want.
That goes well.
But the thing that's not with Sam Darnold, who also loves the deep ball, that translated to 98-yard Justin Jefferson touchdowns. With J.J. McCarthy, that's translating to pressures, incompletions, near interceptions to Roquan Smith. Like, we've seen with Wentz, too. Like, Kevin O'Connell is not going to change his offense fundamentally for a quarterback who can't handle the sorts of plays he wants to call. And I'm not going to sit back here and say he has to completely rework the offense he installed this offseason, but it's just not working with those two right now. With Sam Darnold, you could clearly see once Darnold figured out what he was supposed to do in that offense, everything worked out great. And I'm not trying to harp on we should have kept Sam Darnold here, but something has got to change in the way plays are called and the way this offense is designed, because the wide receivers are clearly getting fed up, right? This is not going to be the last time Justin Jefferson isn't getting the ball the way he wants to on deep shots. J.J. McCarthy's getting pressure. Our run game, which is one of the better parts of the offense, is just not being developed.
We desperately need to address the running back position. I like Jordan Mason. I like Aaron Jones, but we need to find the guy who has top end speed there. We need a game breaker, and we haven't had that really since prime Dalvin Cook. Like that, just it adds such a dangerous level to your offense, and we have nothing there. I know you and Jack are kind of view running back differently than I do at times, but that feels evident.
We need to get talent in the room. I'm saying maybe we shouldn't trade up to add Jeremiah Love.
Sure.
But there's plenty of players who will be available later. Like taking a guy like Jadarian Price in the 3rd or 4th round, you can tell who I'm a fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say now we're just promoting.
When you talk about adding top end speed, right? Players like that who are really fast, you can get in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round and can transform an offense.
Yeah, and we need that. We need that added in. I'm just waiting for the JJ breakout game, and we haven't really been close to it yet. You get those performances where you have 3-4 touchdowns, no interceptions. It's like, okay, this guy can play, and we've had more of flashes in the pan, and that's about it. Then we come back and we have an interception. And you said right after the first series, usually JJ falls off a cliff, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, JJ McCarthy did not throw a lot at Michigan. This game he threw 42 times. If you go back and watch the tape closely, you can see his mechanics get worse. He holds the ball longer. His decision-making gets worse. He is not ready to throw 40 passes in the NFL. Now, I don't blame him. Throwing 40 passes in the NFL is really hard in your 5th ever game. But then we shouldn't have a game plan where it's not like the Ravens completely ran away with the game, right? We weren't down 28-0. Like, this wasn't the Seahawks Cardinals game.
No.
This wasn't the Rams 49ers game where you're down 3 scores early and have to just chuck the ball. We should have had more than 13 carries to our running backs in this game. And JJ McCarthy, you talk about the need for a breakout game. There's a few opportunities left. There's Chicago next week. There's the Commanders. There's the Cowboys. There's the Giants. But we're running out of time to see JJ McCarthy play well this year. And if we don't see much this year, the odds of us seeing a lot next year go down precipitously.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get over here. We're going to continue. We're going to run through the NFC North games first. Then we're going to get over to the other games. Let's hit Bears Giants again briefly. So yesterday, people seemed to be upset with me in the comment section. I don't know if you took a look at that, Ziggy, but one of the first rules too in media, people say whenever we have people coming up, it's like, don't look at the comment section. But I feel like, as far as our show goes, we enjoy interacting with everyone. It's a great time. But if I'm like, I remember people I've produced before get really bothered by things. Like, you just have to avoid it. Not us. We read them. And a lot of people are saying, Paul, Caleb did not struggle yesterday. Caleb was actually really, it was a great Caleb game. And we just had a ton of drops. And I think that there's a middle ground that can be met between Caleb being great and being let down by his receivers, and what I said yesterday, in that he struggled up until really the end of the game when they turned it on and he had a couple great scrambles. I think we can find a middle ground here. I went back and rewatched the whole thing because at first, Ziggy, I was blown away. I was like, wait a second, am I just like totally off from what I was?
And it was the most drops of any team in the NFL.
No, there were a lot of drops.
It was a huge part.
There were a lot of drops. I would say, after rewatching it, there were some massive drops, like Zacchaeus in the back of the end zone. Caleb had a couple darts. DJ Moore had on the first drive. It was 4th and 4. Caleb rolls out and he just throws a strike to the back of the end zone. And DJ Moore is not able. It was a tough catch, but DJ Moore couldn't bring it in. To drive later, he does the same thing, almost like I thought it was almost the same replay. And Zacchaeus drops a much easier ball that was just perfect from Caleb, who has. The physical attributes are unbelievable. When you watch him avoid pressure, which he did yesterday, and this year, right after getting sacked 68 times a season ago, you're watching him maneuver in the pocket and his escapability. It is top tier. It's like him and Mahomes up there, and the elites of the elites in terms of being able to avoid sacks. And when he gets out of the pocket, the angles and the power, the velocity on some of those throws, Ziggy. Particularly in the fourth quarter, there was one that he just ripped it while running left. And you just sit back and go, holy crap. Like this guy, the attributes are off the charts. And when he puts it together, because I think he will, it's going to be special. But I thought throughout the game, I thought Caleb was just fine. And maybe the Bears fans who were commenting on it were swayed a bit by the end. But the majority of the game, Caleb was up and down. I actually thought Jackson Dart outplayed him, certainly outplayed him on the day until Dart got hurt at the end of the third quarter. So I'm not taking back what I said about Caleb. I think he was decent with a couple spectacular moments. And yes, a lot of drops from his receivers as well. But he was good enough to win when it counted.
I think the reason I'm higher on this Caleb game than you are.
Well, I'm not down, but I'm not down on the Caleb.
But why I think this was a good game from him, not merely an okay game, is if you look at the Caleb Williams we saw last year, what you saw were outstanding plays with tons of mistakes. You said 68 sacks, also tons of turnovers. Like whenever Caleb Williams would rattle off a good play, he'd immediately follow up with some disaster play. And if you look now, don't look too much, but the Chicago Bears are near the bottom of the NFL in sacks allowed, right? They're 27th instead of first. They've given up 14. Number 3 is the Minnesota Vikings at 34. Just to put in context, 0 turnovers. Caleb Williams actually hasn't had a turnover in either of his last 2 games, both of which required significant offensive performances. Whether or not he played great this game is, I think, immaterial. Caleb Williams this year has been so much better.
Yes.
Ben Johnson said the thing we need to do is stop taking sacks and stop throwing interceptions because that's what ruins the offense. A sack in many cases is about as bad as an interception. If it's 2nd and medium and you go to 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20, you might as well just punt and turn the ball over. Caleb Williams has been really good at avoiding negative plays, which lets the positive plays show, especially on the ground. He was really important there. Bears fans should be excited. I was texting Bears fan Weston, friend of the program, about this. And I said, for the first time in a while, again, I think since 2018, The Bears are fun to watch. They're a team where you turn them on and think they're going to play okay football. They're going to be well coached. I can't wait to see what Caleb Williams and this offense do with backs against the wall. When was the last time you could say that about a Chicago Bears team? I can't wait to see what their offense does in critical situations. Not as like a Vikings, Packers, Lions hate watcher. I can't wait to see how they implode this time. But just because they're playing good football, it doesn't happen in Chicago. But finally, after so many years, it feels like Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson can finally get it done on offense. And the team's just fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh, they're really fun to watch. Colson Loveland's finally breaking out a bit. Rome Odunze is clearly the number one option they have. Somehow DJ Moore was blanketed yesterday. I don't know what's going on there, but he is clearly taking a step back in the offense compared to some of these other guys.
Give Luther Burden his job.
I was going to say Luther Burden needs to get on the field more. And Zacchaeus had a brutal day. He had, I think, at least 4 drops and ended the day with 1 catch for 5 yards. If I'm a Bears fan, Luther Burden had 3 catches for 55 yards, but every time he touches the ball, he's giving I'm not saying Zacchaeus isn't, but Burden, maximum effort, big playability. He's got to get on the field more, and I have to imagine he will soon. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I will always think of that 65-yard touchdown that he had earlier this season, where he just made it look effortless. This guy he's not the best player on this offense. That certainly goes to Rome Odunze, at least among the weapons. But Luther Burden, I think, has shown that he's the most explosive.
Yeah, he's certainly up there. If not, I mean, I still might. Yeah, probably. I love Odunze. He's a great receiver.
You've got to get the ball in his hands more often. I know he's struggled in the Ravens too, but I'm willing to take some of those negatives for some of the huge positive plays he can put out.
So on the flip side for Chicago, CJ Gardner-Johnson comes in. I know we were talking about him in the preview show. A couple of really, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits. I mean, that's all in the same category. Forced fumble as well. He has 3 sacks in 2 games now. He's always been a big time playmaker, and that addition so far has been really beneficial for Chicago. Montez Sweat stepped up over the past 4 weeks. He's 3.5 sacks. He was back at it again on Sunday. Tyreek Stevenson's struggles continue. He got picked on, and the Chicago offense, I can't say I trust their offense yet. I think it's fun to watch. I'm not ready to say game on the line. I really believe in them every time. They've proven me wrong so far. But the biggest concern I'd have for Chicago is probably on the defensive side and what's happening in the secondary, because Jackson Dart, I mean, he was 19 for 29, 242 yards. He scrambled really well for 2 touchdowns. I thought he was great. He got hurt. He got a concussion at the end of the third quarter, and no surprises. That's sort of when the comeback started, mid-4th quarter for Chicago. Not even, I guess it was like 6 minutes left. They started the comeback. But Russ, outside of one big dump-off play to Devin Singletary, there wasn't much going at all for the Giants offense. Dude, I have to say, the future in New York is bright. Dart has been really good, and he's playing with limited weapons right now. I thought yesterday he was fantastic. Would you rather have Dart or Caleb Williams going forward?
I would rather have Caleb Williams because Jackson Dart is going to continue to get hurt.
Okay.
I mean, I'll also say, I think what Caleb has done, he's been better longer, or he's been good longer at this point. I still don't think last year was terrible.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart's only put out a few games, but I know I say this every single time Jackson Dart comes up, but every time you see him play, there's half a dozen plays where you're just like, this guy could have a career-ending injury on this play.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like, Brian Dable just does not seem to care. Brian Dable's view seems to be, I'm willing to do whatever if it lets me keep my job. And I'm sure he likes watching Jackson Dart play like that. But Jackson Dart is not Josh Allen. Josh Allen can play like that, and he's bigger, faster, stronger than everybody else. Yeah. And I think Brian Dable sees that mentality in Jackson Dart, but perhaps does not see the physical body in front of him, which cannot take it. But I'll say this. The Bears defense, would they have won if Jackson Dart had continued to play? Maybe, maybe not. But if they keep staying competitive, Hopefully in December, you're able to get Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson back, which would transform this defense.
Yes.
They have enough talent. Unfortunately, Dio's out for the season, but they have enough talent to be a passable defense and even be a good defense next year.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say right now, though.
Into December.
But right now, what do you think? Is their defense good enough to go on a little bit of a run as it stands today?
I think they are very fortunate that their next 2 games are against the Vikings and the Steelers, both of whom have had offensive struggles. I think going to Philly, you can't count on winning that game no matter who's playing for you if you're Chicago. That December 7th game in Green Bay, that's when I'm hoping to have guys back. If not, maybe when the Browns come to town, December 14th. But your most important games are your 3 season closers. You play the Packers, you play the 49ers for what could be a wild card tiebreaker, and you play the Lions. There's a good chance they've got Gordon and Johnson back for those games. I think the defense is good enough to keep them afloat against the bad teams they have coming up on the schedule. And then from there, hopefully people are healthy enough.
Yeah. And then they need him back. Like I think they need him back if they're going to make any sort of noise.
If you're the Chicago Bears, you are 6-3 through week 10.
Yeah.
You have a chance to make the playoffs. If the Packers lose, you will be tied for leading the division. Regardless, with division games coming up against the Lions and the Packers, the team's going to have to play better than they've played to win the division. But you will be entering December playing meaningful football with playoff spots on the line.
All right, we'll move on from that game. And that dart fumble, it sucked to see him go down because he was playing great. And if they get in the end zone, they fumbled on the 16-yard line. It's about to be 24-7. Like, I think that's all she wrote in this one. So huge play from the Bears to force the fumble. But that sucks seeing Dart get hurt, and hopefully he comes back. One other pet peeve I have, Ziggy, is when teams are having these game-winning drives or attempted game-winning drives. The Vikings did it yesterday. Russell Wilson did it with the Giants. I just can't stand when the QB's pressured. You have maybe 1 or no timeouts left, and you get a lot of pressure, and you just dump it off. And I get, look, I'm not a quarterback. I've never been there. I'm sure you're just trying to make a play. But unless it's a gotta have it down, I hate when it's like, they throw it 3 yards to the running back in front of them just to get it out. The running back gets crushed. Clock starts winding down, and it's like everyone's scrambling. I don't know. It has to be like an instinct thing, but I just want to see guys like spike that, put that right in the dirt at the running back's feet, live to see another down. I saw the Giants did it on their attempted game-winning drive yesterday, and it just like kills drives. And McCarthy did it. I just want to throw that out there. That's a brutal play every time it happens. And again, if you're enjoying the channel, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe as we're nearing in on 27,000. Let's hit the Lions and Commanders. Let's get off the Vikings and Bears for once. As we say, we're not going to talk too much about them. We're like 30 minutes into
the show. Yeah. But it's tough to know what to say about this Lions game, except if you go back and watch our preview show, I said that Lions 8.5 was the lead pipe lock, to steal Andy Herman's terminology, of the year, and then the better line would be 16.5. The Lions still crushed that too. They did exactly what we expected. They went to Washington. Jared Goff killed them. Jahmyr Gibbs killed them. Jamison Williams killed them. Amon-Ra, after almost getting killed by Darren Payne on a punch, then proceeded to kill them. This was a slaughter. Well,
what this is it's the bounce back from the Lions offense, who was kind of embarrassed by the Vikings. And I don't know if I want to say like humiliated on TV, but I mean, in that locker room, certainly they took exception to what happened a week ago, where, Jahmyr Gibbs had 9 carries for 25 yards. The offense had 305 total, 65 total rushing yards against Minnesota. And Dan Campbell takes over play calling duties from John Morton. He said, just wanted to change it up a bit. And they go for 546 yards, 226 on the ground. Both of those are season highs. And they explode for 44 points. And you mentioned before as well, Jamison Williams, best game of the season. He goes for 6 receptions, 119 yards, and a touchdown. Make no mistake about it, that was part of Dan Campbell's game plan coming in, is let's try and wake this guy up who has been a disappointment this year. And it just makes you start to look around Detroit and you go, oh, okay, like kind of forgot they had that guy. Like when Gibbs gets going and you have Laporta and everyone's working well together, it's kind of pick your poison with this Lions team. And that was the perfect response for them to get back on track here. I thought they just look sensational.
Yeah, sometimes you will hear people who don't follow the Lions very closely say Dan Campbell, he's just a hype guy. He's just a manager. He doesn't design the offense. He doesn't design the defense. He just sort of sits around and lets his coordinators carry him. Wrong. No, Dan Campbell knows what he's doing on this team. This is a guy who played football, who knows it inside and out. And you saw it this game. I mean, the Commanders' defense beating them up is not the biggest accomplishment in the NFL. But as you said, he came in with clear plans. We're going to get Jahmyr Gibbs the ball. We're going to get David Montgomery the ball. We're going to get Jameson Williams the ball and just let our guys ride. And the results were 100% there.
Gibbs was just unbelievable yesterday, too.
He's the best running back in football.
And that's not...
Jonathan Taylor.
Well, yeah, I think you can make the argument for JT. But Gibbs certainly has a claim to that.
Jahmyr Gibbs is so good.
Yeah, 15 carries, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions.
His receiving touchdown.
Yeah, 3 receptions for 30 yards and a touchdown. And they love working him on that angle route when they get down by the goal line. And it seems like every single time they throw it, they score. He's just such a threat in all facets of the game and the breakaway speed. I mean, you know, like I'm a running back guy. Adrian Peterson growing up, I love watching Gibbs play. I was really pumped to see the Vikings shut him down last week. And then, you know, it's only so long you can contain him before he bursts out like, you know, a 43-yard touchdown. And you just go like, all right, you know, you just got to take your hits with this Lions team. Really shows, you know, kind of how impressive, not trying to pump up the Vikings, but how impressive their performance was last week. But yeah, Detroit with just an awesome response. And I don't know.
They do this every time, right? You lose to the Packers, you beat the Bears by 20. You lose to the Chiefs, you blow out the Buccaneers. You lose to the Vikings, you blow out the Commanders. If the Lions lose in Philly this week, Jackson Dart better watch out.
Well, you know, I think that the Lions are clearly the better team here in this comparison too. But when we're talking about, you know, the Bears as a threat potentially, the Bears don't have any games like this. You know what I mean? Like when the Lions play their A game, they just whoop people. And I guess you could point to the Dallas game this year with Chicago.
It's not quite the same, though.
Yeah. Am I forgetting anyone with the Bears? I don't think I am. When the Lions show up and punch you in the mouth, they knock you out. And they do that to bad teams. Like I really can't remember, other than if you want to call the Vikings a bad team, when the Lions haven't just walked in and kicked the crap out of someone. And the Bears, we think they're going to continue to get better. They're on different. They have different expectations.
The Lions are a Super Bowl or bust team. Yeah. The Bears are making the playoffs would be a huge improvement.
Yeah. But this is just like a difference I think we can point to when we say when Bears fans are like, okay, how should we readjust our expectations now that we're 6-3? I don't think you really have to. Like right now, you're doing what you want. You are progressing well. Caleb's getting better. The team is playing better. They're executing well when they need to. And the Lions are just in a separate class, despite what the records may indicate right now. And this is an example.
The Bears are plus 1,100 to win the division.
Yeah, this is just an example of why. I mean, they're.
Can we go back to after week 1 when the Minnesota Vikings had better odds to win the NFC North than the Lions?
Yeah, that was just like the dumbest thing. Well, we knew that at the time.
Well, yeah, we called it in the time, but the
overreactions are absurd.
It was simpler times, Paul.
Simple, yeah. So Detroit with just a great bounce back, and Campbell, I'm assuming, will continue to call plays after a week where John Morton was eviscerated by Lions fans after the Viking game, and all season it just hadn't been the same as with Ben Johnson. This was the best performance they've had offensively all year, and the Commanders they just never had a shot. Like this was. I'd be lying if I said I watched most of this game after the Lions started to pull away in the third quarter. I went back and rewatched the whole thing, but I was like, you know what, this is done.
I'll say this. One reason I have not seen a lot of people talk about, I don't think it was just on the field stuff that got Morton in trouble. If you remember after the Vikings game, one thing he said in this press conference, he threw a lot of blame at the players. He said, look, our players aren't blocking well enough. They're just not playing good enough in order to do the things I want to do. Dan Campbell never, ever says that. When things go wrong, Dan Campbell always says, I didn't get them prepared enough. And Dan Campbell's like in the privacy of his own home sometimes sits back and thinks, these guys suck.
Yeah.
Of course that happens. But when the press asks, he always says, it's my fault. I screwed up. I didn't do good enough.
Great leader.
And then he changes it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is going to be like the 2021 Anthony Lynn situation where Dan Campbell just takes over and never gives it back. But I think that put the nail in the coffin for Dan Campbell. If you come out and say the players screwed up,
for Johnny
I did
Morton.
a great job coming off a terrible game, you're not going to keep your job at Detroit.
Let's move on to currently the class of the NFC. And, well, I guess there are two of them. But we'll start with the Rams, who get their revenge on the 49ers. Remember the Rams 49ers game from, I think it was like week 5, maybe Thursday night football game. And in that one, the Rams had 2 turnovers. They had a missed field goal, a missed extra point. San Francisco won that game in overtime. It was the Kyren Williams fumble on the goal line when the Rams were going to take the lead late. And that was one where if you go back and watch it, you're like, man, the Rams should really be winning this football game. And it's one of 2 losses they have on the year. The other one came in Philly on the blocked field goal where the Eagles had the big comeback late. That's the only thing preventing them from being 9-0 right now. And the biggest reason for that is this is the best football Matthew Stafford has played in his career. And it might even be by far. 25 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the season. He's the MVP of the league right now. Puka Nacua, obviously we know, is as good as it gets. Devontae Adams is arguably the best number 2 in football. And he suffered an oblique injury, which McVay said probably could have came back in the game had he needed to. But they were up large enough that they kept him out. And now you have this 2-headed rushing attack with Kyren Williams and Blake Corum as well. There are weapons all over the field. And with Stafford executing at this level, I mean, they are just loaded. And they gave it to San Francisco, this one, in San Francisco. What do you think, Ziggy? Are they the class of the NFC?
What's funny is the 49ers offense was not even bad. They were pretty efficient. They had a very good offense performance. Mac Jones had a good game. The running game wasn't quite there. But in order to beat the Rams, they had to be absolutely perfect on offense. Once they had 1 fumble, the game was completely over.
They're not going to win with McCaffrey having 30 yards on the ground. Like, they cannot win if he's not great.
That. Though McCaffrey, you must remember, also had like 70 yards in the air.
I know, but they need him to be so good to beat good teams.
So I get it. All I'm saying is it is ridiculous that to beat the Rams when they're clicking on offense, you need to have a perfect offensive performance. And are the Rams the class of the NFC? The NFC is just, it's an arms race, right? You've got the Rams, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Lions. Like, these are 5 outstanding teams that are close to complete rosters up and down. Nice. It's being an NFC contender this year feels miserable because there's 4 other teams that are extremely good. When Stafford is on, the defense is good. The Rams are certainly a real deal contender, and I think they're one of the best teams in the NFC. The conference is just so stacked. I mean, the Rams might not win their division with the way the Seahawks are playing.
Yeah, and so we'll kind of make this, I guess, a Rams and Seahawks little segment here. Stafford, by the way, has had 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in 3 straight games. I mean, they're just...
He doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't take sacks. Obviously, he's benefiting a lot from yards after the catch. More than half of his yards this game came from that. But Stafford is so good at getting the ball where it needs to be. And when you need a 60-yard pass, he can dial that right up.
Oh,
unbelievable.
They're 4-0 in their last 4 games. They beat the Ravens 17-3 to kick that off. And since that Baltimore game, that was no Lamar, by the way, 35-7 over the Jags in London, 34-10 over the Saints, and 42-26 over San Fran. I mean, they're just blowing people out. Great defense, great front. They, one of the best pressure rates in the league. They're awesome. Now, the special teams, I think that's something that I heard Brady talking about after the game. They swapped their kicker and long snapper for this one. That's somewhere.
They got the thicker kicker.
Yeah. Yes, you did say that in our group chat. That's where the Rams have struggled. If you're going to pick a spot this year, special teams. And what I say at the top when they lost to the 49ers earlier in the year, missed extra point, missed field goal. When they lost to the Eagles, blocked kick. Like, that has been something that has cost them on the season. So we'll see.
Packers fans, let us know in the comments if special teams struggles can cost a really good team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say, us as Vikings fans too, like when does special teams ever come back to haunt you in the playoffs? So just keep an eye on that. But otherwise, they've been unbelievable. And then the other team in their division, the Seattle, like those games are over. By the second quarter, it feels like we do our reaction sometimes, and the 4:00 games will start or it'll leak into Sunday Night Football. And the past couple of weeks, Ziggy, we've been going during the Seattle games, and it's over by the time we're finishing our recording, which is like a quarter into the game. This was 35-0 in the middle of the second quarter.
And that's not, as you say, that's not the first time they've done that this year.
I think it was most points at halftime. It might have been halftime on the season. The top two spots were Seattle. Third was the Vikings when they were up at 31 against the Bengals. And fourth was Seattle again. I mean, they're putting the hammer down on people, but then they're going for the kill too. And like Darnold, I mean, if you look at Darnold's numbers from yesterday, he was 10 for 12 for 178 yards.
With a fumble and interception.
Yeah, fumble and interception. But still, like, they didn't need him. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence. Yes, that DeMarcus Lawrence had 2 touchdowns in this game. Like, Arizona's kind of been a little bit of a pain in the ass for some teams lately. And they just, it was 38-7 at halftime.
Yeah. It's like,
triggering score, by the way.
The reason the Seahawks have gone in for this sort of, like, why isn't Darnold in the MVP conversation? Why isn't he putting up bigger numbers? He just has ridiculous, otherworldly efficiency. Like, if you look by the efficiency numbers, this was going back to 2000, a 90th percentile performance in terms of EPA efficiency. But you just don't need more when you're up 35-0 with 8 minutes remaining in the first half, right? You call 42 designed runs to 15 dropbacks. Why? Because we don't need to throw the ball again for the rest of the game. And it's shaping up right now. You can look at the Rams and you can look at the Seahawks and say some of these blowouts have been against less than stellar teams. This matchup in LA and then the rematch towards the end of December in Seattle, these are huge games. These are games that could decide the 1 seed. These are games that probably will decide the division. And I honestly, the thing I'm most excited to see is against the Rams. You're not going up 35-0 to the Rams through the second quarter. You need Sam Darnold not to just be efficient, but to maintain that through a whole game. He's going to have a lot more than 12 passing attempts against the Rams as they try to keep up with Matthew Stafford. Seeing what they can do when they're really pushed. Darnold responded in a huge way when he was pushed against the Bucs. I know they lost that game, but he completed almost all his passes, 350 yards, 4 touchdowns. Seeing what he can do against the Rams is going to tell you a lot about whether the Seahawks team is merely very good or a real deal Super Bowl contender.
Well, you know what? I disagree with you on that. I think they are certainly a real deal Super Bowl contender. They are an unbelievable team, right? Like they're great on offense, great on defense. They have star players on both sides of the ball. JSN might be the best receiver in football this season. But I'm not. So I'm not going to say like they're a Super Bowl contender, but I'm not wavering on the stance that we've had really all season with them. And it's the one you just said as well. Even if they're a Super Bowl contender, it's going to come down to Darnold not making the massive mistake. And you can be a Super Bowl contender with that looming over you. But that's what it is. Is he going to have...
It opens you up to what happened in Minnesota last year, where you've got must-win games to close the season, a wild card game, and Sam Darnold has 2 bad games in a row.
Yeah, and it's certainly possible. Like that very well could happen. I think the Vikings were a Super Bowl contender last year. To me, they're 1 game away from the 1 seed going through them, and Sam's got to be sitting back here going, "Are you kidding me, man? I am 21-5 in the last 2 seasons, and I can't win a division right now. Like it's crazy." He goes to the NFC West. And here's the Rams, who are just arguably, a little bit better. And I can't wait. They're playing next week in LA, 4:00 game. It's too bad that's not the Sunday night game. But yeah, all eyes are going to be on that, and we'll see. Here is a golden opportunity if Sam wants to go for that 1 seed and have it run through Seattle, which, man,
that's dangerous.
Yeah, if you have the playoffs running through Seattle, I mean, it's a massive home field advantage there. It gets real very quickly. So this is the game. And this is the game last year that Sam struggled in. And hey, think about the Vikings last season as well. 4 losses. Who were 2 of them too, Ziggy?
The Los Angeles Rams.
Los Angeles Rams. Both times in LA. And this is an opportunity for him to kind of exercise some demons here from last season and really
here's the problem
Seattle. Yeah.
This opens up the absolute nightmare scenario for Minnesota Vikings fans. Sam Darnold leaves Minnesota, his first year on another team. He's got some good weapons. He's got a good defense. Everything's clicking with the offensive play calling, and he goes and wins a Super Bowl. This cannot happen. Like,
but I'm kind of rooting for him.
There is a real chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's a real chance that the Super Bowl matchup in 2026 in San Francisco is Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks versus Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, gosh.
Could you imagine if the two quarterbacks, we missed the playoffs and the two quarterbacks we kicked to the curb were playing for a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I can obviously imagine that. That's how it goes for us. We have things like this happen. Well, I guess real quickly, we could hit on the Colts win 31-25 in Berlin against the Falcons. It was the morning game, and it was the Jonathan Taylor show. And producer Zach had him against me in fantasy. I didn't realize it till after the game. I may have thought differently. As I'm watching the game, I'm like, all right, I always cheer on Jonathan Taylor. I always liked him. And, my sister went to Wisconsin, so a Badger there. He goes 32 carries for 244 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, he's very seriously an MVP candidate to me right now. Stafford would be the guy, but he's there. And Daniel Jones, another game from DJ where, they won the game, but you're leaving it going, oh, like, I don't know. Are we going to be able to hold on to this the entire season? Kind of felt like Tony Romo there. Did that, like, oh, I don't know, Jim, maybe he's going to. So that's how I'm feeling about Daniel Jones right now. The regret for the Vikings is Darnold. He's the one that got away. Daniel Jones is not the one that got away to me. And for the Colts, at least, that's because Jonathan Taylor is the heartbeat there. He's the guy that gets everything going. He's the one who puts the game away. He's the one who saves the game. And at 8-2 right now, the Colts you have to be at 8-2, a Super Bowl contender, especially if you're in line to win the 1 seed. But I think they're kind of similar in Seattle in the sense that you need to really hope that your quarterback doesn't have one of those games. And they're not out of the woods there. I know you haven't really believed in them most of the year. So after a win here, I can't imagine that changes much for you.
Well, Daniel Jones has always been able to drive positive plays, and he drove some great plays in this game.
Alex I don't mean he wasn't bad.
Was excellent. Yeah. The Tyler Warren play was excellent. But the problem with Daniel Jones that you didn't see up until this point in the season, the past couple of games, is he brings with that huge negatives. He had a fumble this game. He took 7 sacks. It is very hard. The Falcons are not a good team. They're okay at best. Michael Penix did not have a great game. He had a fumble and 3 sacks. But it's very hard to win an NFL game when your quarterback takes 7 sacks and has a turnover. It doesn't happen very often. You need an otherworldly performance from other players like Jonathan Taylor or the defense in order to make that happen. And this Colts team is only going to get better. Sauce Gardner did not play his best game of football because he's in a new system. He's learning how things work. There were some unfortunate plays. Drake London kind of owned him, right? That was on him. But the Indianapolis Colts, they're a good team. Are they great? I don't know. But when Daniel Jones can avoid the negatives, if Jonathan Taylor plays like this,
when he avoids the negatives, they're a great team. And it starts up front and it starts with Taylor. But a great example yesterday, like you said, of maybe a play that is not going to be highlighted the same way that a fumble or an interception might be, but they're going to tie the game. It's 25-22. And on 2nd and 10, Jones takes an 11-yard sack. And I thought the game was over there. It's 3rd and 21. Time's running down. And fortunately, DJ is able to make the most with a 19-yard scramble on third down, setting up the fourth down that Warren converted. And I thought that was actually just a superhuman play from Tyler Warren, who has been everything you could have asked for if you're a Colts fan. He's just been such a great addition to that team. But those are the kind of plays where, yes, while DJ can have the ability for a 20-yard run to make it manageable again, you can't have the 3rd and 21 or the 3rd and 21 setup with the game on the line. And those are the things like he hadn't done any of that in the beginning of the year, and you've seen it over the past 2 weeks start creeping back in a bit. So that's my only concern if I'm a Colts fan is offensively, right? Because the defense, they're a fine defense. And you're hoping with Sauce that they could elevate again, and you're going to get Charvarius Ward back. But offensively, that's the one thing I'm watching going, all right, let's just reel it in and get back to where we were and being safe earlier in the year. Because otherwise, again, sort of like Seattle, such a good team overall. And I think Seattle's better than the Colts, but a really good team overall that with a year this wide open, you could contend with anyone. So to me, the Colts are still I have them as yes, definitely a Super Bowl contender. Not the top tier, but absolutely right now they are one of the teams that I could see. It might take a lot, but I could see them getting to that game.
What's the last thing I'll say about the Colts? I think this is why for the Colts, it's really important that they keep winning games and stay in this 1 seed race. Their path to a Super Bowl is Daniel Jones gets hot. You get those positives and you don't get the negatives, which we've seen at certain points of this season. The difference between having to do that for 3 games in the playoffs and having to do that for 4 games in the playoffs is actually significant. If you've got an offense like the Colts that's high variance, like Patrick Mahomes, you know that he's going to play good football every single game in the playoffs. We just know that's who he is. Josh Allen is not going to shrink in the playoffs. Daniel Jones, I mean, you saw it. He had one incredible game against the Minnesota Vikings, all-time performance that we gave up, and then he just collapsed. Minimizing the number of games you have to play in the playoffs is good for any team, but it's critical for Indianapolis. At 8-2 here, the Broncos are 8-2. The Patriots are 8-2. That's unfortunate, but you have a chance to win the conference here. You have got to get that done, or their Super Bowl odds are going to tank.
Forget even having one less game. How many Colts fans, and this, I guess, one spot you're lucky right now are the Chiefs and Bills are not leading their division. But how many Colts fans do you think, seriously, if you hook them up to a lie detector test, said they think they would win going into Kansas City or going into Buffalo? Now, New England and Denver, you probably feel a little bit better, honestly, which is
I don't feel great heading to Denver.
But, you don't feel great in those environments, cold games. Maybe you're going to have snow there, too. And it might help with Jonathan Taylor, the running game with bad weather. But I don't know if you feel great about DJ in a cold weather playoff game on the road. Again, I really think that it's great for them. Like Denver could be the team. I don't feel great about Bo Nix in a cold weather playoff game. Drake Maye, we haven't seen it, even though I'd probably take him out of all the 3 quarterbacks we're talking about. So that 1 seed, though, you're home, you're in the dome. You need that. You need it if you're the Colts. And what do they have coming up here? They go to Kansas City. Yeah. So they have a bye, then they're at Kansas City.
Yeah, you're right. And then they close off with the Texans, Jaguars, Seahawks, 2 games against the Jaguars and Texans, and then Seahawks, 49ers.
Yeah. So at Kansas City, at Seattle might be tough. You have to win. Like this. Okay, at 8-2, they need to be 13-4. They need to beat the Texans and Jaguars.
I feel good about 13-4. 12-5 might get you there on a tiebreaker.
They need to beat the Jaguars and Texans twice. They need to win hosting the 49ers on Monday Night Football. And then if you steal one of those Kansas City or Seattle games, you're probably the 1 seed. So, it's there. It's right there for them. And the schedule I actually think is pretty favorable because I just don't see the Broncos ending this. Let me just look at Denver right now. They're 8-2. Denver has Kansas City. They go to Washington. They go to Raiders. They host the Packers. They host the Jags. They're at Kansas City and they host the Chargers. There's probably 2 or 3.
Is New England, as we said earlier, they've got a joke of a schedule.
Yeah, let's talk about the Patriots. They they had gotten a lot of flack from people for their schedule, and they're 7-2 with really one standout win at Buffalo, and the other ones were like, they're playing the Saints and they're just playing the Browns. I'm not sure who they actually were playing, but it was just the worst teams in football, basically. And the legitimacy of the 7-2 was called into question. At 8-2 now, going into Tampa and beating the Bucs 28-23, on the road here.
After beating the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, by the way.
Yeah. This was a great win. This was very validating. I have to even imagine in the locker room, I bet the Patriots and Vrabel believe in themselves as much as anyone, but I bet that also is a little reassuring. Like, okay, like that's a big win, and everyone felt it. The Patriots fans probably feel a little relieved too. And Drake Maye got hot. He started the game off a little slow, and then Drake got hot. Travion Henderson had a huge second half. Stephon Diggs.
Welcome to the NFL, Travion.
Yes, it was a welcome to the NFL Travion Henderson game. After Stephon Diggs said at halftime, he went up to him and gave him a little talking to, pumping him up, saying, basically, we need you. And Henderson comes out with a 55-yard touchdown to open the third quarter.
Can Stephon Diggs give that conversation to other players on his team?
Yeah, right. And then, it's 21-16. And it's just been, the Patriots offense has been stalling out for a while, trying to hold on to that lead. And Henderson rips off a 69-yard touchdown run to basically end the game. And if you're adding on that element to the Patriots, it's gonna get. That gets a little scarier. And we kind of been waiting for Henderson, right? Because we know how explosive he was at Ohio State, and he just hasn't been great this year. I thought that this was the breakout game, and this is one where it should pump up New England fans because you need the rushing attack.
I will give one more shout out to Stephon Diggs. His recovery on that onside kick was a very good play. That was an excellently executed onside kick from the Buccaneers. My roommate's a Patriots fan. I was watching this game close of him, and the way that ball bounced, he gasped and started swearing. Because it's when the ball bounces that way, when it's high in the air and your receivers to jump up to get it. That's the dream onside kick. And I have a feeling if the Bucs recover that, Baker Mayfield's going to go down and score a touchdown because that's what Baker Mayfield
I'm not
does.
sure. I'm not sure, Ziggy. And also Diggs' touchdown catch was unbelievable too. He had a great game. Even if he didn't light up the stat sheet.
I'm pretty confident because if you look at the drive before, right, it was a 7-play 65-yard touchdown drive in under a minute.
Sure, but
Baker Mayfield was hot.
Yeah, but what I'm going to give another shout out. We're just going to give shout outs to New England. I mean, their defense from where was it here? Basically, the entire fourth quarter, they held the Bucs on 3 different drives when Tampa had the chance to take the lead. They were down 21-16. Tampa Bay got the ball 3 times, 6 plays punt, 3 plays punt, turnover on downs. The New England defense. And that last the turnover on downs, it was a 4th and 3, I think it was, and got to Baker and sacked him, or let Baker put through it away at the last second. The New England sideline just erupted. The defensive performance in the fourth quarter, outside of the touchdown drive where they're playing a lot of prevent and kind of let the Bucs go down the field, I thought that was just a borderline heroic performance from the Patriots defense. To keep Tampa Bay out of the end zone and hold on to that lead when the Bucs have been so good all year at stealing games like that. And who knows? Yeah, if Diggs doesn't catch that, maybe they do go down, score, and win. But you got to give credit as well to the New England defense. I mean, this is at 8-2 right now. I think Mike Vrabel's awesome. I never got the Mike Vrabel hate. He reminds me a little bit of the culture setter that Dan Campbell is. And maybe not as good, but he came in and then he's turned this around immediately. He's been awesome.
Yeah, and I'll give him major credit because his problem with the Tennessee Titans as a coach was he was too conservative. He wasn't willing to develop the passing game. He liked to just run the ball. He has changed the way he coaches with the Patriots. He's aggressive when he needs to be. He's letting Drake Maye cook.
Is he coach of the year?
Forget.
Is he coach of the year right now?
He's up there. You cannot forget, Mike Vrabel went to an AFC championship game with Ryan Tannehill. He was able to get that Titans team, which I think looking back, we can see they were total frauds. Ryan Tannehill was not that good. Derrick Henry was obviously that good, but that Titans team was not that good. If he can do that with that level of talents, it could be scary in New England for a while. And at this point, I was not a fan of their offseason. I'm dead wrong. They're competing for the 1 seed. They've got the easiest schedule remaining in the NFL, probably. They look incredibly competently coached. Mike Vrabel knew that Josh McDaniels is an incredible offensive coordinator and has let him run the offense. You can live with the ridiculous tosses and like other terrible plays for what McDaniels is able to get out of his quarterback. The Patriots are legit. Are they going to win a Super Bowl? I don't think so.
Isn't it funny, Ziggy? It's funny how we're looking at the top of the AFC and it's like 8-2. Denver's 8-2, right?
Yeah.
The 8-2 Broncos, the 8-2 Patriots, the 8-2 Colts, and I mean it's 24-6 combined record. And we're sitting back here, and for all three of those teams, we're like, I don't know if they're really a Super Bowl team, but they're playing really good. They're winning.
At this point,
yeah.
The division has been dominated by the big three, Kansas City, Buffalo, and the Baltimore for so long. I mean, Kansas City has obviously been the top dog there. I'm not saying that's the same, but those three have bounced any comers, right? The Ravens completely bounced the Texans. The Bills have bounced any other AFC East team. The Chiefs have done what Kansas City does. Besides letting Cincinnati get past them once, they've kept everyone else out of the Super Bowl. It's hard for me to forget that history. But as you say, you've got 2 Coach of the Year candidates in Vrabel and Steichen. They're playing good football. And at this point, you can't sit back and say that it hasn't been enough time. We're through 10 weeks in the NFL. These teams continue to look good.
I mean, Ziggy, it's like, to kind of back up your point, though, it's been 5 straight years where the AFC Championship game is either, and you know, Mahomes has been in all of them, but it's Mahomes versus Burrow, Lamar, or Allen. It's been that way since 2020. And the one before that was Chiefs Titans with Mike Vrabel. So like, I mean, it's just been a long time where I don't blame anyone. And this is what makes the power rankings kind of difficult too. And people get on our case about where we're ranking the Chiefs, where we're ranking the Ravens. You know, the Bills will fall a bit this week, but they've still been high on our list. It's not just, you know, giving them way too much credit. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this here. Like they've earned that right to be on the list because as the contenders go, because they've been there every year for the past 5 years. So I'm not going to be the one to come out here right now and say, yeah, I think in a playoff game, the Broncos will beat the Chiefs. No, I think the Chiefs will beat the Broncos. In a playoff game, I think the Bills would beat the Patriots right now. And it's not, it has nothing to do with like taking away credit from New England or Denver or Indianapolis this season. It's just saying these other teams have history on their side. And those guys, I know that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are going to be at their best in that game. And I haven't seen it from the other guys yet. So I don't think it's crazy to sit here and say my number one contender in the AFC is still the Chiefs. But those other teams are there, and it makes it exciting, especially if we're going to have some fresh blood, right? As far as where these guys, who's hosting these games. I'd love to see the Colts host a playoff game. I'd love to see the Patriots host a playoff game again with May.
And I'd love to see Buffalo and Kansas City lose in those games.
But yeah, it's just, do you really think that's going to happen? And the Bills now, like the Bills, I mean, 30-13. They lose to the Dolphins. That's one thing with Buffalo this year. Even in seasons past, like, you know, where they haven't been the 1 seed, I don't really remember them getting just like slapped around by like the Dolphins. And the Dolphins are, you know, are 3-7 this year. So this isn't the Dolphins that were 11-3 a couple of years ago. Like this 30-13, and they had the poor showing against Atlanta. Like there's been a couple games here where it just makes me, it raises an eyebrow, and it, you know, has some alarms going off on Buffalo. I still believe in them, but it doesn't feel, they don't feel like the same team they were a season ago.
No, well, the Bills, they've looked like the same team they were a season ago in their 2 big games of the season. They were ready to play Kansas City. They were ready to play Baltimore at home.
Maybe that's what matters.
But they, as you say, they weren't up to go to Miami. They weren't up to host the Patriots. They weren't up to go to Atlanta. And given that the division is starting to look out of reach, struggling against bad teams on the road, struggling going to Atlanta, struggling going to Miami, you're going to have to go on the road probably for every single playoff game if you're Buffalo, barring a genuine Patriots collapse. That starts to look worrying. Now, as you say, history is on their side. We know that they're going to play their best football in the playoffs. But even though they've looked good against the good teams, the consistency from the offense hasn't been there. And you need a consistent offense to compete in the AFC.
I don't even know, Ziggy, if they were up against the Ravens. The Ravens were kicking ass before the Derrick Henry fumble. I mean, that took a late fourth quarter.
Yeah, but when the moment counted, at least the Bills played their best football.
Yeah, and Josh,
whether win or lose, you didn't get run out of Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, and Josh put on the cape for that game too, and he can do that, right? He can do that. But an important note here, and we were talking about this before the game started, or before the show started. Sometimes it feels like a game. That loss against the Dolphins, though, it looms larger because the tiebreaker, and this is something that I actually didn't realize, the tiebreaker between divisional opponents after head-to-head. So even if even if Buffalo wins in New England, the first tiebreaker after head-to-head is divisional record. So the Patriots, if they're able to take care of business against the Jets at home, and if they're able, they have the Jets 2 more times, right? So the Jets and the Dolphins, 1 time for Miami. So 3 games there against those 2 teams. If they can take care of those, they will have the tiebreaker, even if they lose at home to the Bills. So that's
the Bills
just
are 1-2 in the division right now.
Yeah. So New England, I mean, New England's on the track to the 1 seed, or maybe not the 1, but the AFC East title right now. And I think it's going to be a good race. I don't think the Patriots are going to win out. They still go to Baltimore. At Cincinnati could be a little tricky. And you just never know with this season. But that loss to the Dolphins for Buffalo is really important because it's a division game. And when we'll see. I won't pick the Bills to go to the Super Bowl if they have to go on the road.
Well, the Patriots are on track to get the 1 seed. They are currently the favorites to win the 1 seed.
Crazy.
It's
just crazy.
The Colts. Next, it's the Bills, and then the Broncos, and then the Chiefs. But really, Vegas has this. I cannot believe I am saying this in the middle of November in 2025. Vegas has the 1 seed in the AFC. It's a 2-way race between the Patriots and the Colts.
Yeah.
But that's where we are. And
are we in 05 or 2025?
Well, when you're looking at playoff odds, when you're looking at who can win a Super Bowl, these are the sorts of things you have to consider.
Well, let's end it here very, very quickly, Ziggy. Let's hit Steelers-Chargers. Chargers just kind of whooped Pittsburgh last night, a game that the Steelers just didn't play well. Aaron Rodgers did not play well. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. They showed late in the game, they showed a quick highlight reel of Aaron outside the pocket where he's usually so lethal, just off the entire day. Missed Metcalf in the beginning of the game for what should have been a big touchdown, set the tone. And we always talk about those plays. When you miss those shots early, a chance to really come out and hit your opponent in the mouth. How does that change the game? And today, or yesterday, it certainly impacted the Steelers. And I'm just watching Pittsburgh play. They're 5-4 now. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Jack's not here.
To tell people that the Steelers had no chance to win their division when the Ravens were 1-5 and the Steelers were 5-1.
Yeah. The Ravens are 4-5. I mean, the Ravens are going to win this division. That's going to happen. And Pittsburgh, they're a decent team. That's really it. They're a decent team.
They are who we thought they were.
Exactly who we thought they were. And I actually think I might even go so far to say it's malpractice at what they did at the skill position coming into this year. Metcalf's a good receiver. Jalen Warren's better.
What else are they supposed to do?
You have to do something.
They got DK Metcalf. Who else do you want them to get? Do you want them to keep George Pickens?
You could go after Devontae Adams. You go after Cooper Kupp. Even I know that these guys aren't you couldn't keep Pickens.
Signed of teams where they thought they could win a race.
You couldn't keep Pickens. That wasn't going to happen. He was gone mentally. He was completely checked out. But they had to, you could draft someone. You could draft a receiver. Look at what Ibuka's doing in Tampa right now. You don't think they could use. So I just think if you're going to push your chips in, and when did Rodgers sign with them? He signed before the draft?
No, it was
right after. But it was kind of leaning that. Yeah.
But we knew.
And I just think if you're going to push your chips in on Rodgers and maybe, maybe they didn't think they could win the Super. I don't know what they were thinking in the building, but you go all in on Rodgers for a year, maybe 2 years. I'd kind of think Aaron's going to come back. You have to give them more. There's just like your number two options, receiving options. It's like take your pick from Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith. Like it just, there's not enough there to compete. And I just think that was obviously a huge blunder. If they had George Pickens and could have kept him, it'd be great. But you saw yesterday, not to throw shade at Calvin Austin, but yeah, right off his hands intercepted. Aaron wasn't great yesterday, but I just think that cards that he's been dealt too, like this is not an offense that's equipped to go on a run to win the Super Bowl. It's exactly what we said. We said that Aaron needs to be in a place where the team can lift Aaron, and then in those critical moments, Aaron can be Aaron Rodgers. That's what Minnesota would have been for him. A place that could lift him up with O'Connell, Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, the offensive line that they have. Pittsburgh is a place where Aaron Rodgers needs to elevate the Steelers. And at 41 years old, he can't do that for a season. You might get some vintage Aaron Rodgers moments, but it's just not sustainable. And last night, you saw all of the weaknesses that offense has and all the reasons why the Steelers have never been a contender this year. And it's just, I think it was malpractice with them not being more aggressive at that skill position spots when you knew you were going to bring in Aaron. That's just me.
I mean, so I hear what you're saying, but if Aaron Rodgers plays like he did last night, it doesn't matter if you've got prime Megatron and Jerry Rice.
Sure. But I mean, I guess my point goes back to even at the beginning of the year when, this was never going to be a serious contender because Aaron can't do it for a full year. And I wouldn't be surprised. Like, look, if they get into the playoffs, which is in question right now, would it stun me if Aaron had a great game and they win one? And no. It would stun me if they put together 3 or 4 straight games, probably on the road, against the best of the best to get to or win a Super Bowl. So Chargers sneaky 7-3. Defense playing really well. And Vidal has been really good the last 2 weeks as well. So, all right, we'll wrap it up there. Any closing thoughts, Ziggy? Sorry for a little Aaron Rodgers rant. I just annoyed.
Well, this is the theme of the season as a Vikings fan. It's not miserable. It's not making me furious, but it is just making me annoyed watching what's going on in the NFL. We said a few weeks ago, this is what I'll close with, that it feels like the NFL is as open as it's been in a long time. Now that we're well past the midseason point, I think that's just obviously true. You've got 5 teams that could win in the NFC, a few of whom have won recently, a few of whom haven't. The AFC, you've got a bunch of teams that we didn't expect. I have no idea what is going to happen for the rest of the season. And that makes this an exciting season to watch.
Oh, it's great. That and college football. Like both of them are I think Zach was saying yesterday, we're sitting here watching the games. He's like, I've really enjoyed this NFL season. Even with his team being 2-7 when he said that. And I mean, maybe that's a testament to producer Zach's character. He can look beyond his team's woes and enjoy the season for what it is. I don't know if I can do that. I'm kind of there. Like once we're really checked out, I'll enjoy it for what it is. But I'm still in. How can we squeeze our way in? And I'm starting to think, it's probably not going to happen.
I have one college question for you, Paul, and then we'll wrap this.
Sure. Yeah. What about?
Do you know when the last college team to win a national championship for the first time was?
The last college team to win a first-time national championship. Hold on. Let me just run through. Is it in the 2000s?
No. It's in the 90s.
The 90s. I don't have great college football history. I'm going to... Is it a Southern team?
Yes.
Is it a Florida team?
Yes.
Is it Miami Hurricanes?
No.
Oh, who is it? Florida State?
It was the Steve Spurrier Florida Gators.
Oh, Florida Gators. Wow. You know what? That sucks. Because I was like, wait, when did the Hurricanes? Oh, they probably won. They won the 80s, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been a long time. It's been, when we get into January, it will have been 30 years since a team has won a championship for the first time. Could this be the year? Teams that have not won a national championship include Indiana, Texas A&M, Oregon, Texas Tech, Georgia Tech.
No, this will not be the year.
You think it's Ohio State's year?
No. I think you're close with Ohio State.
You think it's Alabama's year. Yeah.
There is, a school of about 10,000 people in Northwest Indiana. Two of the best running backs in the country. A young quarterback who's found his stride and may very well be a first-round pick in the 2027 draft. A defense that, while they've struggled at times, yes, has seemingly found some rhythm. Yes, a little bit of rhythm at least. Do I question them in big games? Absolutely. But I really think, did you see the Texas Tech coach come out and he's like, yeah, and don't worry, we won't go too far on our Notre Dame stuff. He came out and he's like, yeah, we really respect BYU for joining the Big 12, earning their way in. A lot of teams here are earning their way in, unlike some others. Like, dude, I can't wait to go down to Lubbock and kick their ass.
People think that like a conference schedule is some like law of nature, right? Like when God made the world, he also made the conferences. No,
I just cannot. It's mind boggling to me. And last year, yes, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, but it's mind boggling to me that even last season, right? There's all these people who are like, yeah, ND overrated. They shouldn't be hosting a playoff game. Signetti's out there on game days, like we don't just beat top 25 teams, we kick the shit out of them, and then they lose by
the guy who coached a team that played one top 25 team all year.
Yeah, and then they get murdered against us. But what we wind up doing is we beat Indiana. We beat Georgia with Gunnar Stockton, who everybody said was going to come in his first game and kick some ass. Then we beat Penn State. And Ohio State, yeah, they kind of whooped us. But we did keep it close at the end. We made the comeback.
We played Ohio State as well as
anyone. And it's just, to me, there's no greater validation of earning your way than actually winning the playoff games. Like, we won the playoff games.
We beat the SEC champion.
It's not like in the past where you could have, you put in 1 and 2, and if the number 1 team beats the crap out of the number 2 team, you go, okay, yeah, maybe they were a little overrated. No, anyone who plays in the national championship in today's college football playoff has earned their way there. And it's not the same team year over year, but by no means can we look at Notre Dame, who lost 2 games by 4 points at the beginning of the year to the number 3 and 18 teams in the country, and say like, yeah, like they're actually not that good. Like, this program has a history of being over
the South and beat Georgia 23-10.
Yeah, like this team has a history of being overrated. It's like, all right, last year they went to the Natty. So all right, we don't need to.
I'll say this. I will say this. There is the potential for the ultimate nightmare scenario where it's like IU wins a national championship and the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl. It's just like all these things that should be ours are going to someone else.
What's kind of funny, Ziggy, is I know I'm not supposed to, but I do have a soft spot for Indiana because my cousin went there. And then I've always disliked Seattle, but I like Sam. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting soft, but
this could be if the Colts and IU win championships in their sports. This could be.
Yeah, I root for Indiana.
The state of Indiana might burn down. They might just torch the whole state if 2 Indiana teams win championships in their respective sports.
All right, let's wrap this up. We were like, yeah, quick reaction. We're like an hour and a half in. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks, everyone, for tuning into the Week 10 reaction show. We will be back tonight after Eagles-Packers Monday Night Football. Massive, massive game. Division implications for the Packers. 1-seed implications for both teams. Going to be a lot of fun. Jack will be here as well. Not usually here for the late-night games, so I think he's, at this point in time, Jack may even just be a Packers fan as well, with the Steelers falling apart.
As well.
What do you
mean as well?
Sorry, that might be a little shot at you right there. Sorry about that. Ziggy, I hope you stay a Viking fan. But Jack might be ruined for Green Bay, given that he said they're his second favorite team. So you guys might be able to, I don't know if you'd want Jack, but you might have him. So we'll react to the Packer game, and we'll see you guys tonight.